I had a moment last week that I still can't quite explain to myself. It was one of those moments where you sort of catch your brain doing something completely on autopilot, and it's actually kind of terrifying.
Oh, I love those moments. Usually that's where the best psychology comes from. What happened?
Okay, so I was walking through the mall, which I rarely do anymore because, online shopping exists, but I was there. And I saw a line of people, a really long, winding line coming out of a store.
Okay.
And the weird thing was, I didn't know what store it was. There was no sign, no big sale banner, no celebrity sitting at a table signing autographs. It's just a line.
And let me guess. You slowed down.
I didn't just slow down. I actually drifted toward it. I caught myself craning my neck, looking for the end of the queue, genuinely contemplating getting in it just to see what was happening.
Just because it was there.
Just because it was there. My brain just short-circuited. It said, look at all those humans. They know something. Go be with them.
That is the human condition in a nutshell. It's primal. The herd is doing something, so I should probably do it too. For safety, for information, for something.
It's embarrassing. I'm a rational adult. I have a schedule. I have places to be. But for that split second, I was just a moth looking for the flame.
But you're not alone in that.
And it got me thinking about how much of my life, how many of the decisions I make, the clothes I buy, the opinions I hold are actually mine, and how many are just me drifting into a line because I saw someone else doing it.
It's a humbling thought, isn't it? We like to imagine ourselves as these independent, logical islands. We think we sit down, we analyze the data, and then we make a sovereign choice.
Right. That's the ideal self.
But the reality, we are porous. We are constantly absorbing signals, pressures, and nudges from the people around us. We are social animals first and logical thinkers a very, very distant second.
And that right there is exactly what we are deep diving into today. We are peeling back the layers of our own behavior to understand the invisible strings that pull us.
The strings that put you in that mall line.
Exactly. And to do that, we are tearing into a massive foundational text. Persuasion, Social Influence and Compliance Gaining by Robert H. Gass and John S. Seiter.
This book is an absolute beast in the best possible way. In the academic world of communication and psychology, Gass and Seiter are, they're the heavy hitters.
This isn't a pop psychology book you pick up at the airport newsstand with a neon cover, is it?
Not at all. This is the gold standard. It's what you read if you want to understand not just how to sell a used car, but how the human brain processes the very concept of yes and no.
What I appreciate about this source is that it bridges that gap. It takes these dense academic models, which can be a real headache to read if you aren't a professor, and it connects them to the messy reality we actually live in.
It does.
It covers the whole spectrum.
It really does. It spans everything from high-level marketing campaigns and hostage negotiations down to the micro interactions. Like, how do you convince your spouse to order Thai food instead of pizza?
A daily struggle.
Or how does a teacher get a classroom of rowdy teenagers to sit down without shouting? It's all persuasion.
So our mission today is pretty straightforward, but it's deep. We aren't just here to give you a list of 10 tricks to win any argument. That's surface level.
Right.
We want to understand the mechanics of social interaction.
Think of it as looking under the hood of a car. Most people just drive. They know if they press the pedal, it goes. We want to show you the engine. We want to show you the transmission.
All the gears and pulleys.
Because once you understand how the machine works, the gears and pulleys of influence, you become a much better driver.
And significantly, you're less likely to get taken for a ride.
Exactly. For me, the value of this deep dive is critical thinking. We live in an attention economy. You are being bombarded with thousands of persuasion attempts every single day.
Thousands, from the moment you wake up.
From the targeted ads on your phone, to the way a politician phrases a tweet, to the way your boss frames a request. If you don't understand the mechanisms of influence, you are navigating that world blindfolded.
I love that. We're taking the blindfold off. So here is our roadmap for this deep dive. We are going to start at the bedrock. The foundations. Why do we follow people?
The big question.
Is it because we want to be right? Or just because we want to be liked?
Then we'll move into the mechanics. This is the neuroscience and psychology part. We'll talk about how the brain processes arguments, why we hate feeling like hypocrites, and the specific triggers that short-circuit our logic.
Then we get practical with the toolkit. Direct requests, subtle hints, and the art of nonverbal communication.
And finally, we have to face the big question. Ethics. When does persuasion become manipulation, and how do we spot the difference?
It's a huge one.
It's a comprehensive journey. Let's get into it.
All right. Part 1, the foundations. The text kicks off by defining social influence. And the definition Gass and Seiter provide is surprisingly broad.
It is. They define it essentially as the process by which individuals adjust their attitudes, beliefs, or behaviors when confronted with a persuasive message.
Okay, but we have to broaden our understanding of the word message, right?
Exactly. A message isn't just a speech. It's not just a billboard.
It's not just words.
No. A message can be a look. It can be a gesture. It can be a siren in the distance. It can be the layout of a room. If you walk into a massive Gothic cathedral,
Oh, that's a great example.
the architecture itself influences you to lower your voice, to walk slower, to feel small. That building is persuading you to be reverent.
Wow. So the environment itself is the influencer.
Absolutely. But the core of the book, where it really gets going, revolves around two main engines of influence. And understanding the difference between these two was the first big aha moment for me reading this.
You're talking about normative influence versus informational influence.
That's the one. These are the two fundamental reasons we go along with the crowd.
Precisely. Let's break them down because I think I mix them up all the time. Let's look at normative influence first.
Normative influence is arguably the more primal one. This is the influence that comes from our desire to fit in, to belong. It is driven by social norms, expectations, and the deep-seated fear of ostracization.
This is the high school cafeteria effect. I'm wearing these sneakers because everyone else is wearing these sneakers.
And it never leaves us, unfortunately, even as adults. The text references the classic Asch conformity experiments and more modern variations like the famous elevator experiment. You know the one.
Walk us through the elevator one. It's such a perfect and kind of painful example of human awkwardness.
So you have an elevator, you put 4 actors in it, they all stand facing the back wall.
Which is weird.
It's completely weird. Logically, this is insane. You face the door so you can get out, but these 4 people are staring at the back of the elevator. Then, an unsuspecting subject gets on.
The victim.
The victim. They walk in, press their button, and turn around to face the door like a normal human being. And then they realize no one else is doing that.
I can feel the secondhand anxiety already. The tension in that moment must be excruciating.
It is visceral. You can see it on the footage. They look around, they check their watch, they adjust their collar. They feel the weight of the group's behavior pressing on them.
That's silent pressure.
And almost invariably, slowly, painfully, they turn around. They face the back wall.
Why do we do that? They know where the door is? They know facing the back is useless?
Because the pain of standing out, of being the other, is psychologically heavier than the logic of facing the door. That is normative influence. We comply to meet expectations and maintain group membership.
You're not thinking this is right. You're thinking this is what they're doing.
Exactly. You're thinking, I don't want to be the weirdo. We are terrified that if we face the door, the group will reject us or judge us or even just stare at us.
Okay, so that's engine number 1. I want people to like me, or at least I don't want them to scare at me. What is engine number 2?
Engine number 2 is informational influence. This is the desire to be correct.
Okay, so this one is different.
A very different motivation. This happens when we are unsure of the truth or we lack data, so we look to others for the answer.
Give me a scenario where this plays out differently than the elevator.
Imagine you land in a foreign airport. You've never been there before. The signs are in a language you don't read.
Total confusion.
You get off the plane and you have no idea where baggage claim is. But you see a group of 50 people from your flight walking confidently down a specific corridor.
I followed them immediately. No questions asked.
Exactly. Now, are you following them because you want them to think you're cool? Because you want to be part of the club?
No, I don't care about them at all. I will never see them again. I just assume they know where they're going.
Right. You are assuming they possess knowledge that you lack. You are outsourcing your judgment to the crowd to ensure accuracy. That is informational influence.
So the thought process there is, I want to be right, and the group probably has the answer.
That's it. So one is about belonging, normative, and the other is about accuracy, informational.
And the book highlights that these are often working at the same time, right?
Absolutely. If you buy a certain car, it might be because your friends have it, which is normative.
You want to fit in with your social group.
Indeed, because you read that it has high safety ratings online, which is informational.
But where it gets really interesting is when they conflict.
That's the danger zone.
Like when you know the group is wrong, but you go along anyway.
That's the classic dilemma. Think about a corporate boardroom. The data says Project X is a financial disaster. That's the information.
The facts are clear.
But the CEO loves Project X, and everyone else around the table is smiling and nodding. That's the norm.
I've been in that meeting. If you speak up, you are prioritizing information over norms.
And that takes immense social courage. If you stay silent, you are succumbing to normative influence. We see this happen in catastrophic ways. It's called groupthink.
And that's basically normative influence on steroids.
It is. It's normative influence, crushing informational influence, until the group drives off a cliff together, all nodding in agreement on the way down.
That is terrifying. It really emphasizes why we need to be aware of why we are agreeing. Am I agreeing because the facts are good or because the room is nodding?
Exactly. The first step is just asking that question.
This leads us to another foundational concept in the book that flips my understanding of how my own brain works upside down. It's about the link between attitude and behavior.
This is one of the most counterintuitive parts of the text, but it explains so much about human nature.
We usually think it's a one-way street, right? I think a certain way, so I act a certain way. I care about the environment, therefore I recycle. Attitude leads to behavior.
That's the logical chain. That's the story we tell ourselves. But Gass and Seiter spend a lot of time explaining that the street runs both ways. Behavior often causes attitude.
Wait, so I recycle, therefore I care about the environment. That feels backwards.
In a way, yes. It's called rationalization. Humans are master storytellers, and the subject of the story is always ourselves. We have a desperate need to make sense of our own actions.
We need a narrative.
We need a consistent narrative. If we find ourselves doing something, maybe because of a coupon or because a friend handed it to us or because of that normative pressure, we don't like to feel like sheep. So we retroactively invent an attitude to justify the behavior.
So the guy in the elevator turns around to face the back wall, and instead of thinking, I am a coward succumbing to peer pressure, he thinks.
What? He thinks actually it's quite interesting to face the back. I'm getting a new perspective. The door is boring. Or maybe there must be a reason for this I don't understand yet. This is probably the smart thing to do.
No way, we really do that. We lie to ourselves that effectively.
We do it constantly. Think about buyer's remorse. You buy a car that is way too expensive. You acted impulsively. But on the drive home, what do?
I start listing all the reasons it was a brilliant decision.
You start telling yourself, well, it's safer, it has a better resale value, I really needed this upgrade for my job. You are manufacturing an attitude to align with the behavior you just performed.
That is a powerful tool for influence. It means you don't always have to win the argument first.
Not at all.
Sometimes you just have to get the person to take a small step, and their brain will do the convincing for you.
Exactly. If you can nudge the behavior, the attitude will often follow to catch up. The brain's need for consistency is your ally.
All right, let's move to part 2. The mechanics. We've got the foundation we follow to fit in or to be right, and we rationalize our actions. Now we need to look at the theories of how the brain processes this stuff.
The real nitty-gritty.
The book spends a good chunk of time on something called the ELM, the Elaboration Likelihood Model.
Don't let the academic names scare you. It's actually very intuitive. ELM posits that there are 2 main highways for persuasion in the brain.
Okay.
The central route and the peripheral route.
Okay, let's drive down these highways. What's the central route?
The central route is the high road. Elaboration just means thinking about it. When you are on the central route, you are cognitively engaged. You are actively analyzing arguments, checking the logic, scrutinizing the evidence.
It's high effort.
It requires high mental effort. This is you when you're buying a house. You're reading the inspection report, you're checking interest rates, you're looking at the neighborhood crime stats. You are fully engaged.
My brain is firing on all cylinders.
Correct. You are processing centrally. When you are in this mode, you cannot be persuaded by a catchy jingle or a celebrity endorsement. You need facts. You need substance.
He won't work on me.
If I try to sell you a house by saying, but the keychain is sparkly, you will laugh at me.
Okay, that's clear. So what is the peripheral route?
The peripheral route is the low road. It's low effort. It relies on cues, shortcuts, and surface-level aesthetics. This is when you aren't thinking deeply. You're just scanning. Your brain is on autopilot.
This is me buying a candy bar at the checkout line.
Perfect example. You don't read the nutritional label and analyze the cocoa content versus the sugar ratio. You see a bright wrapper, maybe it says new flavor, or maybe you just recognize the brand from a commercial you saw.
Or it's just right there at eye level.
Exactly. Placement is a huge peripheral cue. You grab it, you were persuaded by peripheral cues, color, familiarity, convenience.
So the application here for anyone trying to persuade someone is knowing which route your audience is on.
It is the single most important diagnostic you can make. This is where most people fail. They try to use central route strategies on an audience that is on the peripheral route, or vice versa.
Give me an example of that mismatch.
Imagine you are pitching a new software to your boss. It's 4:30 p.m. on a Friday. He's tired, he's thinking about his weekend, he's checking his watch.
He's checked out.
His cognitive resources are depleted. He is in peripheral mode.
And I walk in with a 40-page technical white paper and start reading data tables.
You are dead in the water. He cannot process that information right now. His brain literally can't handle it. He will get annoyed and say no just to make you go away.
So what should I do?
In that moment, you need peripheral cues. You need a high-energy summary. You need a confident delivery. You need a slide that says, saves 20% cost in big green letters. You need to show that another respected department head is already on board.
You're appealing to authority and simplicity.
You're using shortcuts. But conversely, if it's Tuesday morning and he says, okay, sit down, explain to me exactly how this works,
Now he's on the central route.
then he is in central mode. If you come in with just charisma and big green letters, he will tear you apart. He'll see it as fluff. He wants the meat. He wants the logic. He wants the 40-page white paper.
It's about matching the frequency. You have to read the room.
Exactly. And the text notes a crucial difference in the outcome. Central route persuasion tends to be more lasting.
That makes sense.
If I convince you with logic, central, you own that decision. You stay convinced. If I convince you with a catchy jingle, peripheral, you might change your mind tomorrow when you hear a better jingle.
Logic plants, deep roots. Aesthetics are surface level.
Right?
Let's talk about another heavy hitter in the theory section. Cognitive dissonance. I feel like this is a term people throw around at dinner parties. Oh, that's just cognitive dissonance. But what does the text actually say about it?
Cognitive dissonance is the mental discomfort we experience when we hold two conflicting beliefs, or when our behavior conflicts with our beliefs.
The hypocrisy pain.
Yes, and pain is the right word. The brain hates it. It's a state of imbalance, and the brain craves equilibrium.
So give me an example.
If I believe I am a healthy, disciplined person, but I am currently eating an entire pizza by myself, my brain hits a crisis point. I have dissonance. The two things don't line up.
I know that pain well.
Yeah.
So how does a persuader use that?
The persuader acts as the wedge that highlights the dissonance. They don't just let you ignore it. They point it out. They amplify it. They say, hey, you said you care about animal welfare, but you're buying products tested on animals.
Ouch. That stings.
That ouch is the lever. To stop the pain, the target has to change something. They have three choices, really.
Okay, what are they?
One, they can change their belief, I guess I don't care about animals, which is psychologically hard because it means changing your self-concept. Two, they can trivialize the conflict. Well, it's just a little bit of shampoo. It doesn't really matter. Or three, they can change their behavior. I will stop buying this product, which is often the easiest way to restore the balance.
And that's what the persuader wants.
Exactly. So effective persuasion is often about making someone feel just uncomfortable enough that they have to change to feel better.
It's about manufacturing a crisis of consistency. You create the problem, the dissonance, and then you immediately offer the solution, your product or idea.
Feel bad about this. Here, buy this and you'll feel good again. That is the formula.
And speaking of consistency, that leads right into the next major theory, consistency and commitment theory.
This one is huge. We have a deep, almost irrational need to be consistent with what we've said or done in the past.
We do. In many ways, consistency is valued more than accuracy in our society. We trust people who stick to their guns, even if they're wrong. We mistrust flip-floppers.
Because inconsistency seems untrustworthy. It's unpredictable.
So how is this weaponized? How is it used in persuasion?
The foot in the door technique is the classic example here.
I've heard of this. How does the book explain it?
It starts with a small request, something trivial, something almost impossible to say no to. There was a famous study mentioned where researchers asked homeowners to put a tiny 3-inch sign in their window that said, "Be a safe driver."
Okay, that's easy. I'd say yes to that. It's just a little sticker, no big deal.
Exactly. Almost everyone said yes.
Yeah.
But here's the trick. 2 weeks later, the researchers came back.
To the same houses.
To the same people who said yes. Now they asked them to put a massive, ugly billboard on their front lawn that said, "Drive carefully." It blocked the view of the house. It was hideous.
I assume they said no. I mean, who would agree to that?
Actually, the group that had accepted the tiny sign first was significantly more likely to agree to the billboard. Over 70% said yes, compared to less than 20% in a control group that was just asked about the billboard cold.
Why? That's a huge jump. Why would they agree?
Because they had established a self-identity. I am the kind of person who supports safe driving. I publicly committed to this. When the big request came, saying no would have created, you guessed it, dissonance.
The hypocrisy pain again.
To remain consistent with their past behavior, their past self, they agreed to the absurd request. The initial small commitment locked them in.
That is wild. The little yes unlocks the big yes.
Precisely. Because you aren't just selling a product, you are establishing an identity. You get them to say, I am a person who cares about X, and then you can ask for things that are consistent with that identity.
The text also references Cialdini's principles, which are legendary in this field. We touched on a few, but let's hit the big ones mentioned. Reciprocity.
The obligation to give back. This is deep in our evolutionary coding. If I give you something, you feel a physical debt until you repay it. It's the foundation of social cohesion.
This is why charities send me those personalized address labels and stickers in the mail.
Yes, they're worth pennies. But it's an unsolicited gift. When you use them, you feel a twinge of guilt. They gave me something. I should give them a donation. It turns the donation from a choice into an obligation.
And it works.
It works incredibly well. Same as the free sample at the grocery store. You take the little piece of cheese. Now it feels awkward to just walk away without buying the block.
Okay, and scarcity.
We want what we can't have,
Right.
or what we think we might lose. Only 2 seats left at this price. Limited edition. Offer ends Friday.
It triggers a panic.
It bypasses our central route thinking and triggers a panic response, peripheral route. We stop asking, do I need this? And start asking, will I lose this? Fear of missing out, or FOMO, is a scarcity tactic.
I have absolutely bought concert tickets for bands I don't even really like just because the site said selling out fast.
And you probably felt good about it in the moment, like you'd won something. That is scarcity hijacking your brain.
Authority and liking are the other big ones.
We follow the leader. Uniforms, titles, diplomas on the wall. An actor in a lab coat can convince us to do shocking things, as the Milgram experiments showed. We are conditioned from childhood to defer to authority figures.
So even the appearance of authority is enough.
Often, yes. It's a peripheral cue. And liking, we say yes to people we like. It sounds obvious, but it's powerful.
How so?
It's why Tupperware parties work. You aren't buying the plastic bowl because you need it. You're buying it because you like your friend who is hosting the party and you can't say no to her face. You're preserving the social bond.
It's amazing how these are all running in the background constantly.
Constantly. They are the operating system of our social interactions.
All right, let's pivot to part 3, the toolkit. We've done the theory. Now, how does the book say we actually go about getting that compliance? What are the specific strategies?
Well, Gass and Seiter break this down into compliance gaining strategies. And the most obvious one, which people sometimes forget, is the direct request.
Just asking.
Just asking. But even within just asking, there are flavors. The book outlines rational appeals, emotional appeals, and moral appeals.
Break those down for us. Let's say I want my neighbor to help me move a couch. How would I use each one?
Okay. A rational appeal would be logic-based. Hey, can you help me move this couch? It's too heavy for one person, and if we pivot at a 45-degree angle, it will fit through the door easily.
Simple. Pure mechanics.
Then there's the emotional appeal. I'm really stressed about this move, and I'm afraid I'm going to hurt my back if I try this alone, and I'd really appreciate the help. You are leveraging vulnerability and their feelings toward you.
You're pulling on the heartstrings a little.
A little. And finally, a moral appeal. Neighbors should help neighbors. It's the right thing to do. You are framing the request as a social duty, an appeal to their values.
It's interesting how we swap between these without thinking. I've probably used all 3 in the same conversation.
We do. And the text emphasizes that successful persuaders consciously choose the right appeal for the right moment. If you use an emotional appeal on a data analyst during a budget review, you will fail.
Wrong tool for the job.
If you use a rational appeal on a toddler having a meltdown, you will also fail. You have to match the appeal to the audience and the context.
But sometimes asking directly is too aggressive.
Yes.
The book talks about indirect methods.
Yes. Hinting. This is the manipulation of social norms. Instead of saying, it is freezing in here, close the window, you say, gosh, is anyone else feeling a draft?
I do this all the time. Boy, the trash is getting full.
Instead of take out the trash.
Why do we do that? Why not just ask? What's the benefit of the hint?
It saves face. For both of you, if I ask you to close the window and you say, no, we have a conflict, I made a demand, you refused, it's awkward.
There's tension there.
But if I mention a draft and you ignore me, I can pretend I never asked anything. And you can pretend you never heard. It's a lower risk strategy. It relies on the target reading between the lines of social expectation.
It's a test of the relationship, too. If you pick up on my hint, it shows we are in sync.
Exactly. It's a bid for connection, but it can backfire if the other person is oblivious or if they are pretending to be oblivious because they don't want to do it.
Touché. Now, one of the key takeaways from the toolkit section is that there is no magic bullet. The book emphasizes situational factors.
The "it depends" factor. This is so important. Strategy selection depends entirely on the context.
Right. The relationship matters.
It's a huge factor. You do not use the same compliance strategy on your boss that you use on your toddler. With a boss, you might use rational persuasion data, logic. With a toddler, you might use bribery or distraction.
Different power dynamics.
Intimacy changes the rules. With a close friend, you can use emotional appeals. Do this for me, I'm your friend. That would be completely inappropriate and unprofessional in a business deal.
And part of reading the room and being read is nonverbal communication.
Yeah.
The text asserts that how you say it matters as much as what you say.
I'd argue sometimes more. We are primates. We respond to physical cues before we even process the words. The book highlights tone, gestures, and presentation.
Give me an example of a nonverbal that just kills influence.
Lack of eye contact. It's a classic. Fidgeting, crossed arms. These signal defensiveness, discomfort, or deception. If you are trying to use a rational appeal, giving me data, but you are looking at your shoes and mumbling.
I'm not buying it.
The nonverbal cue of your lack of confidence overrides the verbal cue of the facts. I won't believe the facts because I don't believe you. Your body is telling me a different story than your words.
Or proximity. A close talker.
Oh, absolutely. If you invade someone's personal space, you trigger a threat response. Their amygdala lights up. They stop listening to your argument and start planning their escape. You have to respect the physical boundary to keep the mental channel open.
This is also layered.
It is. It's a constant dance.
I want to talk about something the book covers that I think we often overlook. We talk about how to persuade, but what about when we are on the receiving end? Part 4, the shield and the compass. Resistance.
Yes, the text discusses how targets resist persuasion. And the most interesting concept here is anticipation.
Knowing it's coming, like seeing the salesperson walking across the car lot towards you.
Exactly. If I walk up to you and say, I'm going to try to sell you this pen, what happens in your brain?
My guard goes up immediately. I cross my arms. I get ready to say no. I'm already thinking of reasons I don't need a new pen.
Your defenses engage immediately. You start generating counter-arguments before I've even started speaking. This is called inoculation theory. If you know a persuasive attack is coming, you prepare your mental antibodies.
So for a persuader, the element of surprise is key.
Often, yes. Which is why indirect methods or subtle influence can be more effective. You don't trigger the resistance, you fly under the radar.
But let's flip it. Is resistance always good? The book asks this question.
It's a great question. We think of resistance as a virtue, as a sign of a strong mind. But if we resist everything, we never learn. We never grow.
You become closed off.
If I resist your argument just because I feel like I'm being persuaded, I might miss out on a great idea, a better product, or a truth I needed to hear. Cynicism acts as a blindfold. We need to be skeptical, but not closed.
That leads us to the moral center of the episode, ethics. The book devotes significant space to this.
And thank goodness it does. Because without ethics, this book is just a manual for sociopaths.
It's the difference between being a leader and being a con artist. So how do Gass and Seiter differentiate between persuasion and manipulation? What is the real difference?
It often comes down to intent and transparency. Manipulation usually involves deception, hiding the true cost, or exploiting a weakness in the target, like using their fear against them.
The scarcity tactic we talked about can feel manipulative.
It can be, if it's based on a lie. Ethical persuasion, in contrast, respects the target's autonomy. It's about presenting a case rationally or emotionally and allowing the other person to make a free choice.
So it's the difference between I want you to agree because you understand the value and I want you to agree because I tricked you.
Precisely. And the book argues that while manipulation works short-term, you might sell the lemon of a car using fear and pressure. It destroys the relationship long-term.
The used car salesman vibe.
Right. Once you realize you've been manipulated, the trust is gone forever. You will never buy from that person again. You will tell your friends not to buy from them. Credibility is a currency, and manipulation is like counterfeiting.
So ethical persuasion isn't just nice, it's effective, it's strategic.
It is the only sustainable strategy. If you want a career, a marriage or a reputation, you have to play the long game. And the long game is ethical. It's built on trust.
We should touch on the limitations of the text, just to be fair critics.
Sure. Gass and Seiter have written a masterpiece, but it was written before the algorithm age fully took over. It is heavily focused on interpersonal, face-to-face influence.
It's not a manual for how the TikTok algorithm persuades you to watch one more video.
Not explicitly. It doesn't discuss dopamine loops or variable reward schedules in app design. Those are newer applications of these principles.
Right.
But I would argue that the core human principles are identical. Whether it's a person facing the back of an elevator or a teenager doing a TikTok challenge because everyone else is doing it, that is normative influence. The medium changes, the psychology does not.
That's a great point. The like button is just a digital nod of approval. A scarcity counter on a website is just a digital version of only 3 left on the shelf.
Exactly. It's the same old wine in a new digital bottle. The hardware of the human brain hasn't changed in 50,000 years. This book is the manual for that hardware.
So where does this leave us? We've covered a lot of ground. It's a lot to process.
We've gone from the why we follow norms and information to the how our brains work, ELM, dissonance, consistency.
To the what we can actually do, strategies in the toolkit, and finally the should we, the ethics.
It's a full journey.
For me, the biggest takeaway is just awareness. Whether I'm prepping for a meeting, trying to get my kids to eat vegetables, or just standing in a random line at the mall, these mechanics are running. They're all always on.
They are. And realizing that empowers you. You can pause and ask, wait, am I buying this because I need it, central route, or because the music makes me feel happy, peripheral route?
Or am I agreeing because I think they are right, informational, or because I don't want to make it awkward, normative?
That pause is everything. It gives you that split second of pause.
And in that split second, you regain your agency. You stop reacting and start acting.
Yeah, I love that.
Before we sign off, I want to leave our listener with a provocative thought, something you hinted at earlier regarding the cathedral.
Yes. We talked about how silence can be influence, how architecture is influence, how ignoring the trash is influence.
So the question is, if we are always influencing each other simply by existing in the same space, is it ever possible to be truly neutral?
Or is opting out just another form of influence? If you sit in a meeting and say nothing when a bad idea is proposed, aren't you influencing the group to accept it?
Your silence is a vote of consent. You're giving it a passive endorsement.
Your inaction is an action. It's pushing the norm of agreement. There might not be a neutral position.
Oh, that's going to keep me up tonight. We are always pushing a norm, whether we mean to or not. We are always on the field. There's no sideline.
We are always on stage.
Well, on that slightly terrifying note, thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Always a pleasure. This stuff is endlessly fascinating.
And to you, listening, thank you for lending us your central root processing for the last hour. Good luck out there. Keep your eyes open, watch out for the peripheral cues, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.